Kia ora e te whānau. Welcome to the Blue Diamond transmission from the Kopu Temple of the Blue Diamond. Today we have a special guest, Robert van der Touw. I'm just going to read a little bit of what Robert's shared with me around who he is and what medicines, what sacred medicines he brings to us with his presence here in Aotearoa. We're very lucky to have him here. He was born in Holland and moved to New Zealand in 1990 after graduating from the School of Homeopathy. And then he started practicing homeopathy in Auckland and also taught naturopathic and homeopathic studies in various different schools from 1995. And then he developed his own 3-year study course in homeopathy for the Hamilton Polytech. And this ignited his passion for medicinal properties in plants. And in 1993, he was involved in multiple workshops and research into rongoa as well. And at the time, he was with his partner, Michelle Tappenden, who developed the Medicine of the Four Winds workshop program. And that was a platform in researching and teaching properties of native plants. And they used this as a small scale homeopathic provision and also incorporating shamanic practices with these techniques. He's here also as a creative and does some beautiful photographs and amazing designs. He's also done a lot of compositions, done amazing different types of music, and he loves taking people into the bush to help them connect with nature, and provides various different courses and workshops and medicines that help bring that full awareness and open people up to the different perspectives. So yeah, he's also written quite a few self-published books, the Sacred Web book and cards, the Rainbow Essences, which I've actually seen that book and it's amazing, of Aotearoa, the Homeotherapy and Quests for the Lost Gift. Together with Michelle, they created various CDs and Songs of the Four Winds. In more recent years, Robert has composed many songs and instrumentals and has his own YouTube channel with over 400 music videos. So thank you for your creative energy, brother. It has been noticed. So, bro,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
we'd love to hear you share a little bit about your journey and what is rising in you right now. What's your latest passion that you'd like to share?
Well, my latest passion is still the music, composing music. And the other passion is I'm going back into my homeopathy practice, which I really enjoy. And it just helps also the business side of things. But beside it, I love doing homeopathy. Classical homeopathy is interaction one-to-one with a person for an hour, hour and a half, and go deeply into all their problems, issues, and find the one homeopathic remedy that resonates in the frequency of that person, something out of nature that resonates like a mirror to the issues of a person. And there's hundreds, thousands of medicines to choose from. So it is a bit like a puzzle, but it is a passion of mine. I love doing. Getting back into it, and now with Zoom, I can. Currently, I have a bit of problem with transport, which will be resolved in a couple of months. But Zoom now offers me consultations, to do on the internet, which I've done a few last week, and I have one more this week. Other than that, I have a workshop coming in Russell, and that is my other passion. That's taking people into the bush And I've done that for 30 years. And that's truly magical. I mean, when you have a group energy and you allow yourself to step out of this reality into altered state in nature together, the experiences are tenfold. They are really amazing. The energy is beautiful. Yeah, I really love doing that because it's like Harry Potter, you know, it's just magic. It's really magical. And although I have a background in teaching homeopathy and had a very good memory box here that I could recite remedies and rubrics, I've kind of let it all go to listen, to not talk about all the medicines that I know, but to get to know plants directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You know, instead of reading about a plant, I now have a passion to actually listen to the plant and use techniques that open me up to the energy of a plant. So I hear directly from the plant being, from the nature being, what it can help with. And that is what I do with the people in the forest too. We go in with an intent, because you always need an intent where you do shamanic work. I mean, when you do any kind of work, if you want to be successful, you have to have a clear intent. But so, for example, when I take on the first day people into the forest, I just ask them to find a special friend. They go into the bush, and we agree that once we're in the bush, we only have our intent. We don't talk to each other, and our intent is for everyone to find their special friend. They walk into the bush till something calls to them, and then they sit with the plant, and I give them different techniques to communicate with that nature being. But in essence, I let them do all the work. I provide space. I have the total 100% confidence that everybody can do it, and I haven't had one participant that couldn't do it. So you know what it is like. So I just hold the space, and I become very aware what everybody is going through. It's quite magical and quite tiring for the next few days after that. Um, but it's really beautiful. So I let them do all the work, and I learn from them, from their experience with the plants. Now, I've done this for many, many years, and I also had my own research done on plants when I lived in Kerry by the Rainbow Track. I would go into the Rainbow Track where there's multiple variety of native plants, beautiful field. And I would go in there, and then every day I would choose a different plant to focus on. So I would go into the Rainbow Track and ask for a plant to come to my attention. Then I would maybe take a leaf, hold it, and from then on, I would just have the intent. Everything that happens on my walk, every thought I have, and usually have pen with me and paper, has to do with the plant. Now, I've done that for 2 years, every day, each time with a different plant. So I collected a lot of my own experiences with the nature, with the plants. And with some plants, I felt I have immediately a rapport. They resonate with me, like we all have different frequency. The plants and trees have all different frequencies. And we naturally, if we allow that process, we will naturally be attracted to those plants that resonate with us. And if you're a healer, that you are meant to work with. Because if they resonate with you as a healer, they also are available for you as a healer to be used. Now, I did not study Rongola. I did that purposely because, first of all, I am always be very careful not to trade on cultural sensitivity. And to me, Rongola, I have a lot of respect for Rongola, and it is part of Maori culture. Doesn't mean I can't learn Rongola because they're willing to share their wisdom too. But I have the tools with my background in homeopathy and with my shamanic techniques to go into the bush and to get to know the plants. I didn't want to know anything about a plant. And I also advise my students to, when they have a plant, not to read up on it till they have connected personally themselves with that nature being. And in that way, I get a lot of new information. You know, there's many plants I can connect with. There's also plants that won't talk to me. I mean, I love them, they're beautiful, but I don't get information. So I wait till somebody in the course chooses that as their best friend. And I learn from them, I hear from them. Now, I've done this for so many years. So when you hear somebody talk about a purity and they get that it's very feminine, it's a very nurturing plant, I make note of that. And when I have another course and somebody else connects to purity and has the same experience, I underline it.
Mm.
Yeah, so I've taken hundreds of people into the bush connected to different plants, and because of some of them retrieve the same data, I've got to learn. I learned a lot about the native plants, not just from me, from my own source, but from everybody else's wisdom source. And to me, that feels really important. It feels very sacred to do this work, and it is very important for me to leave my ego out of it. So it is just appropriate for me to collect the data from all of the people that go into the bush and let the wisdom come through all these people, rather than from Robbie, you know,
Mhm.
from Rob. Um, yeah, that feels right. And of course, I'm really happy to share my experiences with the plants after they had their own experience with the plant and if they want it.
How
Um,
wonderful, brother. There was actually a couple of things that came up for me while you were speaking. First of all, with the music and the plants and seeing the relativity of each frequency of the beings that represent the spirit beings, you know, the Naga spirit, I guess, or the shamanic spirit of that particular plant having relevance with a certain frequency and song. And I'm sure that this is something that you've been working with for a while too, creating songs from the rongoa, and Gary Cook's work, attaching those nodes to the trees and getting music from those particular trees, or even stones. And you know, all these nature beings have got their own song, so the relativity there uh, just seems to, yeah, marry in with what you're bringing through with the sort of work that you're sharing. And also from my understanding and just from what I've heard, a lot of our elders, that's how they found out what plants actually were good for. When they
yeah,
connected it to the plant, the spirit of the plant themselves, the plant would speak and therefore be able to communicate what treatments it was able to offer, and you know, the element that it held. And also the aspect where you shared about getting several people experiencing the same thing and taking note of that. That's similar to what our sister Vida Austin does with her crystallography.
mm,
If she gets the same patterns recurring, then she will start taking note. And it's when she has a certain amount of patterns, I think it might be 400 times, then she knows that that's definitely a glyph. It creates a ice glyph that she can then categorically state that this is what this particular
yeah,
glyph represents. So feels similar to that, right?
yeah. I've seen her work in homeopathy. We work with the water memory. The energy is captured in the water, and then we dilute it and we shake it. We give it energy, and we do that so many times that the plant energy becomes less in a way, but it becomes more potent, more refined, and more potent. Um, in my most recent course, I did something new that would connect to what you just said. We chose a plant, like for example, we had a bit red oak where we were having the course, and I decided to do a little bit differently, and I asked everybody individually to go to that oak by themselves with a cell phone and to tune into the sound of that tree. And then when they get the sound, to record it in their cell phone. So there were about 9, 10 people. So they all went there individually, where the others would withdraw, and then only once they have the space to connect to the tree and record that sound. So in the end, I let them all come into my little studio, and they all had their recording of what they retrieved from their tree. And I put all these 9 recordings together in my recording unit, and it became like the symphony of the tree. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it is 9 people getting a sound or music or chant from a tree, and then combining all that together to have that sound frequency of the tree. And again, not just me, but by many people doing that, because it's the process that is important for everybody to. And the song, the Symphony of the Red Oak, it was one of the oldest red oaks, was just beautiful. And we did it a couple of more times. We did it with the Agaricus mascarius, which is the red mushroom with the white dots, because we had hundreds of them growing everywhere. So I said, let's collect the sound of this mushroom. So they all went to sit with their mushrooms and collect the sound, and I created the Agaricus Symphony, which is very funny. It's very funny. It goes whoop whoop, goes all over the place. It's very different from the Symphony of the Red Oak. But it is, I love doing this kind of things. It's kind of, I think we're doing new things. We're finding out new things, Yeah, so another thing that came to mind I would like to share, which had an impact on me. Was this a colleague of mine told me that, a classical homeopath from Holland, and she said he had this book about a Native American medicine man, and he would have a drum, and what he would do, he would go to a plant, like what we did, but he would go to the plant with his drum, and then he would go, do his thing, chanting, and ask the plant for a song.
Wow.
And he would collect that song, and the sound would come, but also the words. Okay? So like shamanic, what you do, you bring that to your heart. So you become one with that energy. So that energy becomes available for you to use. Anyway, he went to another plant and collected the song, the words and the song. And he did it with many plants. Now, what he does when somebody is sick, he goes to that person, he takes his drum, sits with the person, and he asks for a plant to come forward that would heal that person. He asked for one of the songs to come to him. And he would tune into the frequency of illness of the person and ask the song that resonates with that to come, and he would sing that. And in that way, he would bring in the energy of that plant into the being, like a perfect mirror. In homeopathy, we go through a 1.5-hour interview to find that frequency that resonates with the person, which is basically the perfect mirror. It's mirroring, right? Healing is mirroring, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, so, I have found so many times that through my knowledge of the plants in homeopathy, which I studied deeply, that I talk to a client, and then sometimes you look for that remedy and it comes, and you suddenly click, I know the plant that will help with it. And because you know that plant so well, like we study the medicines in homeopathy on physical, mental, emotional level. And plants have a theme. So once you have that rapport with a client and you understand what that remedy is, that's when the healing happens. And you actually do not need to give that remedy anymore, because you understood it. You have the plant frequency right there, and you feel it match, and something magical happens, and you can feel it. It goes both ways. You start to feel really well yourself, and also the energy goes to the recipient, your client. So I thought I'd just share it with you. So many, that mirroring is so important, and we can use our intent. We have so many times, you can talk to a person, you talk about your problems, and the other person has such insight into your problems that suddenly you feel you got only half a problem, or your problem doesn't exist anymore because the other person has been the perfect mirror. And when you think of all the great saints, the Jesus, for example, he could heal people. Well,
Mm.
I think when we all get to a state, a Jesus-like state, where we are so connected to soul and the universe, we become naturally that mirror for those who are open to receive that energy. So it's a similar thing again. Um, yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, that is really important to be the mirroring. And you see that in my art. I use mirroring in my photography too.
I did notice that quite a lot,
And,
actually. I
and
like it.
I know, but one person once said, and it shocked me a bit. They said they're all vaginas. When you actually look at my art, well, well, but
The pulse of creation, bro. That's where you're tapping into.
but when you mirror, it's the in between places where everything happens. It's in between. It's the vagina. That's the birthing canal. It's in between the eyes.
Mm.
It's in the black holes of the universe are the in between places. These are all places of recycling, where the old gets recycled into the new. Um,
Kia ora.
and always, yeah,
And yeah, also, this is the 0 point. This is where all the magnetic energy goes in.
yeah,
It's the attractor, isn't it? The
yeah.
great attractor. But also, I love what you're saying about that. The interconnectedness with all of the cosmos comes through that frequency. So I love that you're representing that in your art, and yeah, the continuation of that. So with that in mind, you talked about the your learned place with homeopathy, and I know we've had this conversation before around the chakras and yeah, all of the sort of Vedic learnings that you've also had. How does that incorporate into the work that you're continuing to do these days?
Well, I always felt that to research the plants, take people into the bush, you need kind of a foundation.
Mm.
You need a starting point. You need some, um, and I was fortunate that I worked with Barry Brailsford on the Wisdom of the Four Winds cards.
Yes.
And I collected 78 poems and researched about the different plants and gave the manuscript to Barry. So he started writing on these. And then he asked me how many cards. And I had no idea. I'm very familiar with tarot. I've always loved tarot. It was a passion of mine as a teenager. I used to collect all these tarot decks. And they have 78 cards. Well, this is for New Zealand. So I said to Barry, I'll think on it and see what comes. And the next morning, at 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I did my meditation. And I had this very powerful experience. And I told that to you, of this vision of this man in white sitting on the at the base of a huge Pohutakawa. Now, this Pohutakawa stretched the arms all through the universe, right? And there was this man in white sitting there, and he looked at me, and the vision was very, very clear and very powerful. And he said, "This is where the journey starts, and this is where it ends. I am the tree of life. I am Pohutakawa. I am number 49."
Mhm.
But what? That's a weird number. Anyway, I thought about it. So I rang Barry and said, well, I've got 49. So there needs to be 49 cards. And then Barry in his wisdom added to 0, which was very important. So we ended up with 50 cards. Now, that's when the story ended with Barry, because he basically withdrew and started rewriting this whole thing. And it did a beautiful job. But for me, the journey just started with these 49. And the next thing that came was the four winds, the four winds. And I thought,
Mhm.
wow, that's comfortable. Because, the cycle of 12, um, if you put the four winds is the four directions, it's the four elements. in motion. That's why it's winds. So it's always moving. This is not stagnant. This is the basic fundamental elements always in motion, which creates everything there is. So I thought, well, that's convenient because I got 49. And if I put 49 in the center of the four winds, then there's 12 in each direction, which is 48, and the 49 will be
Center.
the 13th card of each 12. And 4 plus 9 is 13. So it fitted beautiful. Anyway, I started getting more and more information about Nahawi Fire, about the four winds. I was given the character types that belong to each direction. And I was shown that the four winds are two masculine aspects and two feminine aspects. There is a feminine and there's a feminine protector. There's a masculine protector. So I got the four types and the energies of that. And because it came as masculine and feminine energies, different qualities, we find it in nature as well. We go into nature, we find some plants are more feminine, some are more masculine. So this foundation of Nahawi Fire, the four winds of earth, water, fire, and air, is a beautiful foundation to study nature. And it has been done all along for centuries, for thousands of years, from Lemuria all the way. Any healing philosophy has as the base the four temperaments or the four elements. In herbs, astrology works with the water signs, the air signs, the fire signs. Tarot has the spades, has the clubs, has the hearts and the pentacles, which is again the same earth, water, fire, and air. So you find it everywhere. But you find it in different places in the world, differently structured. Like with the Native American Indians, they might say, oh, fire is with the earth, is in the south. Because every culture has arranged this in harmony with the seasons, in harmony with the stars. They're different in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere. The seasons are different, so the four winds will have different, it's the same thing, but will have a different expression. So I needed to find what's the right one for New Zealand. And I was given that, and I received confirmation of that too. And beautiful confirmation, even in structures like Mirenge Te Kakara, the perfume of the heavens, where there's 49 pillars, and one central, and then cross house. I mean, that's the four winds coming alive, but that is a four wind structure that links in to the 49 celestial energies that are into the universe. It's a magical place that it must be a very strong chakra or energy center for the elders to have received it and built that structure there. I mean, you've been there, I've been there. And when I sat in that space, in the cross, to burn down the ashes, when I sat right in the center, I felt I was looking, I had the whole universe like a pyramid around me. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
So it was very encouraging when I discovered the 49, the tree of life, the four winds, to recognize it in so many other things. And there's many structures in the world. So I recently got a message from a monk in Tibet, and she was at a temple, huge temple, where there were huge pillars. There were 48, and then one, and she wondered why there were 48. Well, there's 48 and one in the center. So here was another, to me, four winds temple.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And those 49, they practically are, in our body, we have these 49 as well, and they together, they amalgamate into centers, these 49, and they create the chakras. So the base chakra has 4 of these, and the Swadhisthana, the second chakra has 6, the chakra 10, 12, 16, there's 49, and there's the 49th, but also the 0 right here. There's 2 lobes of the third eye, 49 and 0. So you find that structure of the tree of life that is held by the four winds in this circle, 2 circles of the 4 winds, this tree of life. You find it everywhere. And to me, it's the divine DNA. You find it in the body. We have 49 ley lines that go to the earth. We have 49 forces in the universe that connect the planets and the stars with our 49. It's everything is connected. I see it like a Russian doll. You know, the Russian doll, you take a little one out, and that's exactly what it is like. So the body, earth body, right, all the planets, all the stars, they resonate with the planets and the stars that are within us. We are the universe. Yeah. The only thing,
Exactly what I've been saying for a long time.
the only thing that keeps us from just going there and merging with everything is because we have a physical body, and we are here to believe that we are something different, and we're on the way discovering that everything is one.
Mm.
And with all the challenges of letting go, and yeah.
So last time we spoke, you talked about the 49 also being connected to all the Vedic sounds, the sound temple, if you will,
Yeah,
connecting to our physicality and our bodies, and the throat being quite a significant part in that. So would you be able to share
absolutely.
a bit more about that, bro?
Well, and this is what I learned that long time ago, thousands of years ago, there were uh, beings, human beings that were very tuned in, and they could hear the sounds in the body. And they dedicated time to that, and they discovered 49 sounds in the body. And they gave voice to these sounds. And that is how the Sanskrit language was created. Sanskrit is old, ancient Indian, well, it originated from there. It was put into form and writing by the Aryans that came, the white people that came through the Ice Age. They were coming all the way to the Himalayas, and they collected all the data from the indigenous people that had all that knowledge, but only had oral, you know,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
But like
So
Maori.
yeah, the same. So they had this intuitive, high level of knowledge. And the Aryans, they brought this record-keeping quality, and they created all these writings. And that's why you have the Vedas. They were created by the Aryans, but the knowledge came from the indigenous people in that area, as I understand it. Um, yeah, so all these 49 places in our body that make up the chakras, they all have a unique sound. Now
Mm.
imagine if we're getting so subtle that we could hear the sounds in the plants in nature and find out exactly which sounds we need for this glandular structure in our body. I think we're heading that way. One day we might be able to do that. So I'm still like a blind man, trying to find out how that actually works. That's where I'm at, and that's where most of us are at, I think. Um, but yeah, I have still that. I would love to go to a plant with my flute and then record it, and that's the medicine.
Mm.
So I do that with my compositions. I try to do that, but there's different levels of that. So, um, and I'm sure there's people that work with that work with sound, and they just allow that sound to come from a plant or a being, and then being able to vocalize it, and then you mirror it. So there's healing if you mirror that sound for the person that needs that frequency at that time.
Isn't that why sound healing is so potent? Because
Yeah,
you're actually resonating.
it's a mirroring. It's again mirroring, and sound is so subtle, so there's less resistance. Sound goes everywhere, so it's a very subtle and powerful way of healing to use the sound.
Mm.
So I always thought when you have a plant essence, if you use the essence with the sound of the plant, combine it, it's endless. It's so fascinating. The healing techniques that people are using probably at the moment, and that they are going to use in the future, because this is going like is going to open up a lot of people to work on different levels with energy and with their intuition rather than overthinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Even like the Rife machine and things that are actually emitting a certain sound frequency into the body, a certain light wave information into the body to help heal it, heal the
Yeah,
different frequencies and remove parasites and viruses and things like that. It's pretty
yeah,
phenomenal what
yeah,
the quantum medicine that's coming through sound and
yeah,
frequencies and vibrations. So,
yeah.
mm,
And you talked about the 16 here in the throat. Um, just to touch on it briefly, well, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do.
mm,
Those are 7 sounds. They are part of the throat glands. And there's another 7 sounds that are not embraced by the chromatic scale, but they are embraced by the Indian music scale.
mm.
The Indian music scale uses all the 16 sounds of the throat.
That is amazing. We should all be learning how to speak the tongue, shouldn't we? And sing Indian styles.
Well, I mentioned before when I got that book from Hokkien to Hawaii, there was this beautiful comparison between Maori language and Sanskrit.
Mm.
And there's a lot of similarity between Maori language and Sanskrit. Um, and this is just one story. When I always had the feeling with Maori spirituality, it is absolutely mind blowing. The intuitive knowledge that is given in that I've heard and read that goes way above my head. I got to 49 and I can find the planets and some star signs, but it goes in very subtle levels. I was always very attracted to Maori spirituality, anything I could read about it. It feels very old, it feels very ancient. To me, I would not be surprised if there is a connection between these people that wrote the same language, that whole area there, with New Zealand, with Aotearoa. Um, I always had the feeling there's a history here in this land that's somewhere down the line connected all the way to Egypt with India and then all the way through the Pacific. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
just to iterate the information that was shared quite recently with us around the Cornelius Van Dorp map, the Hawaii Tapu map that was gifted to him through an ancient line of elders, uh, much of which came from Egypt, the lineage through Egypt, through the Kemetic teachings, and how on the map itself it has the various portals within the diamond of India, Tibet, South America, and Egypt. They were all incorporated in the map, as well as the Bermuda Triangle, as well as Aotearoa. So there's something there that links it all together, that brings all the pieces, the fractals of the diamond into unity. And yeah, bringing that connection. And then you're sharing recently also around the Hawaii Tapu temple in India, in South India, through that book, which was
yeah.
confirmation for us. So
Yeah, Hawaii Nui, a temple, Four Winds Temple in southern India.
it was it called Hawaii Nui?
Hawaii Nui, that's what she.
Hawaii Nui. Oh, kia ora. Yes. Okay. That's confirmation right there. So yes, it feels like there's definitely a lot of collaborations with different cultures that are happening, and also yourself, who's from the Netherlands, coming here and finding all these treasures tongas, and bringing them together in divine marriage to yeah, allow them to blossom for us. It's been really beautiful. And the teachings with the Temple of the Four Winds, which is, a very ancient temple. When I went to the temple, I think for the second time, I've been there quite a few times, but I think it was the second time I went there, there was actually a group of locals who came and shared some ancient story around it. And they were sharing that it was actually a star temple. And just from the times that I've been there, I've had a lot of deep connection with the star mothers there myself, and felt a very strong Syrian connection, that it was actually originally a Syrian temple set up there. And it wasn't always the way that it was built. It wasn't always built like that. It was actually once probably quite a it could have been a pyramid, actually. Kia ora, just from what you're saying as well, could have actually been some kind of dwelling like that. And when planes go over the top, they actually receive the spinning that goes on their radars, because it's a 0-point magnetics space. And one of the planes actually landed close by and came to check it out because they weren't sure of what it was, and then they discovered that it was this temple. So there's definitely a lot of ancient secrets that I don't even think the local iwi necessarily know what the real true story is around it. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's been a lot of other stories that have come through. A friend of mine, you also know her, Lilavati, went there once, and there were the actual lotuses growing on the land itself, and the fragrance was absolutely intoxicating. Of course, it's a dairy farm now, it's a beef farm. Yeah, kia ora. It's not even dairy, it's beef. So they raise beef cattle up for meat. And yeah, perhaps all the chemicals that have been used there are stopping this proliferation of these lotuses. But once upon a time, it flourished with lotuses on that whenua. And there's, other stories as well. So it's a very sacred site, and there's a lot of deep stories there. Beneath it, there's the Four Rivers. It's actually the river beneath the river, and it's the meeting of the Four Rivers where that exact site is. And there's also like a tunnel system underneath. You can hear the hollowness on when you're walking across that ground there. There's a
That
lot.
confirms. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that confirms that it is, an in-between place. And if there the four rivers meet, then that's the center. That means it's 49. That is the 49 anchor place of Mother Earth. And there might be more, but would be one of them. See, we have the 49 here, right? And this connects us to the stars.
yes.
So this is just on the Mother Earth, the same thing. It's a portal to the stars, and it was not built by human beings. The ideas was given by uh, beings from outer space, different. They might have been human being, maybe in a more refined physical vehicle, because they have evolved maybe longer than we as a soul. But I feel that these places were built by extraterrestrial, people from other places that have that knowledge and that can affect and influence in a positive way physical structure like a planet. So they have the understanding of this tree of life and how to bring the energy and awaken the energy by building structures on these special places on these planets. Because all the planets have these places. We're all made out of the same DNA. And I feel that these beings have put it there So when the time comes right and we are ready to vibrate at a higher level, all these temples, all these sites will start vibrating with us, and then we light up like a glowworm in the universe.
Like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah, like
Christmas
that.
all the time, a cosmic Christmas.
But the essence for me is that all of that is here.
Kia ora.
We are all of that.
Yeah, I
We
love
are that. That is who we are. Whatever it might be, but they just put it there to give us the memory of our DNA, which is the same Russian doll, a little, in a, and I think we are the blue diamond. We
definitely.
cannot find anything outside of us if it doesn't resonate with something, awaken something inside of us.
Mm, yeah, thank you. Thank you, brother. That's
I mean, when we go to a sacred site, that sacred site, and the reason why it was put there will resonate with something inside of us and awaken it. And that's where I experienced it as a special sacred site. And I think that whatever temple you go to, you will have a different experience of awakening a part.
yes.
Um,
So when you say that you don't need to go to these physical places, that you've got it all inside of you,
oh, no, no, it's good. It's good. It's good to go to these physical places.
yes, kia ora. Kia ora.
You will connect more directly, and it might awaken that. I do not know. I do not know. I don't think it's necessary to do that, but it is a way of reactivating our energies, I'm sure. And that is what you're doing, isn't it?
Yes, yes, this is what the journey that we've been on with the Blue Diamond was about for us, going to the sacred sites and feeling them activating and awakening things within us, these dormant memories, and
Yeah.
having these huge awakenings in that process. So, doing the journey of Aotearoa, the three wakas, and I guess I'm getting now called to go to Te Maringa Te Kākara and hold medicine space there for the Blue Diamond as a part of the journey. And also I'd love for you to be a part of that too, brother, at some point, when we make a bit more of a
I haven't been
plan.
there. I think I've been there 3 times, and I was called on really once too, which was really beautiful. And I was brought there once by one of the descendants of the person that had the vision originally, the great great granddaughter. But I haven't been there for a long time. So whenever you go, I have my friend coming over too in October, and that inspires me to revisit a lot of these places, like Touw, maybe Mare Island, which is a very shamanic, very, very sacred place to me. Mare Island, very special place. Um, yeah, and Timaringa.
Yes, and
Um,
of course, Touw is also like the big black mirror. And I have a tohunga friend who talks about it being very, very significant, like the one of the main gateways, the eye portals into that mirror, the black mirror. So we
are
can
we talking
really,
about obsidian?
yeah, the black taniwha.
Okay.
So there's all these significant places for us to visit in the physical and, the metaphysical as well.
Mm.
It's really exciting. Oh, well, many trips coming our way. Watch the space.
Mm.
So we're going to probably wind up very shortly. And I just wanted to ask you, Robert, any final words before we close our session today? Father, any for the audience that you'd like to share?
Oh, I just encourage you all to come with me into the bush. And whatever you're looking for, come along and we'll go and ask the plants and the trees, and find our allies there, the medicines there, and also to invoke the deep sacred relationship we have with nature. We go all over the world, but we only need to know one plant and we know all the answers there is to know.
Mhm.
If you knew, I know that, if you really understand one nature being and it's all is perfect, you have all the knowledge that you need.
Wow. Kia ora, brother.
Everything, yeah.
And how are people to get a hold of you?
Um,
Contact details.
Probably Facebook is really easy. One of the old people that are still mucking around on Facebook. And my son told me, "Oh, Facebook is for old people." Okay. So Messenger is really good. I got a cell phone that I'm using again. I didn't use cell phone for years, for 3, 4 years, but I got one again, and my number is 027 514 2113. 027 514 2113. You can ring me if you're interested. There is a workshop coming on in Russell. I'd love to do one day, maybe one closer to your area.
Yeah.
And particularly if you are all, focused on something together, then you can use that whole intent together as a group to go into the bush and nature and explore that with the plants. Yeah, so that's all I can think of. And if you like my music, put a like on my YouTube channel. I got over 400 videos. I got 610 followers. I've never put any of my music on a commercial site, so I haven't attracted a lot of views. You can work on that. I've never done that. But I actually found out that with all I've created, I can earn some income now from YouTube, which would be really helpful. We need our financial,
Yeah.
but it's all free. Everybody can watch my videos for free. Music videos.
Oh, wow. Thank you so
You can
much, brother.
you can come and see me as a homeopath on Zoom and help you find your constitutional remedy.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that. I've always wanted to have a session with you, brother. So let's book a time. I'd really love to
Yeah,
have that sharing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I look forward to that. It's such a special thing for me, a privilege to do that with a person.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. Well, I look forward to our session. Okay,
great.
Barno, thank you so much. Thank you, Robert van der Touw, for your amazing sharing, and
Thank you so
forward to
much.
connecting soon. Bye for now. Blessings. Ka kite.